To cover the Divi Builder as we use it here at ILGM. The Divi Builder is where you're going to be doing all of your updates for your pages, and in some cases posts and maybe even products, but mostly pages. So let's get started. We're going to just run through this. There's going to be a lot that goes on here. I'm going to show you the basics up front, and then we'll get into some more advanced stuff. We're actually going to build some modules out so that you can see what's going on. So the first thing I want you to know is when you click add a new page, you're going to get the typical WordPress classic editor. And what we want to do is we can go ahead and add a title, but we want to click on the Divi Builder. And when this opens, it's going to give you three choices. It's going to build with AI, choose a pre-made layout, or build from scratch. We're going to build from scratch. Now, the Divi Builder works with sections, rows, and modules. So it automatically put in a general section for you, and that's why it's blue. It's asking you to insert a row, and this is rows. These are different columns. So if you want a row with 2 columns or 3 columns or 4 columns, then you can pick it however you want. You can also change it at a later date. We're going to go ahead and just pick a regular row with a single column. The next thing it's going to ask for a module. Now Divi comes pre-built with a whole bunch of modules, and there may even be some extras in here. You can see there's a person module. You can put in a search, a sidebar. There's all kinds of modules in here. The one that you're going to be working with the most is going to be the text module. So we can just type in text. It will filter out all the modules and give you just what's available for text. So we'll go ahead and click on it. Now that we have a text module, we're ready to enter some text. Now, the toolbar across the top may have 1 or 2 rows. If you click on this icon right here, this is the way it comes default. But once you open it and expand it, you'll have extra tools. And then adding text is simple as adding text. And then we can come over here and we can hit the green checkbox. We'll scroll back up here. And now we have the section, the row, and the text. And we can hit Save Draft. Now that the draft has been saved, we can come up to the permalink or your permanent link to this particular page. We can right click on it and we can say View a New Tab. So we have the main navigation, the footer navigation, and then our text that we just created right here. So we can come back to our section, the row, and the text, and we can add an image. So I'll click the module plus sign, and I'll search for image. I'll click the image module. I'll click add image. And then I will select an image from the list and hit upload. We'll talk about adding new images later. Click the green checkbox. We'll click Save Draft. We'll come back to our preview. We'll hit reload. And now we have, this is my text and an image. If we want to add more text, we'll click on the gear. Let's go ahead and replace it with some text that I already have pre-filled out. We'll click the checkbox. And we'll hit Save Draft. We'll come and look at our preview, hit reload, and now we have more text and we have an image. Now, if we want to move the image to the side of the text, we'll come back to our sample. We'll click on the column icon right here. We'll click 2 columns. Then we'll drag our image to the right, and we'll hit Save Draft. We'll come to our example, and we'll hit Reload. And now we have text on the left, image on the right. But we have a lot of dead space over here. So we'll come back to our example. We'll come to our column icon, and we'll look for spacing of columns that are a different size. Let's try this one. We'll hit Save Draft. We'll come to our example. We'll hit Reload. And now it's scooted it over just a little bit more, but I think there's room for it. Plus, let's now center this image inside this column. So we'll come back to our sample. We'll come back to our columns. We'll pick one that has a size smaller on the right, maybe this size here. You can see how it's lining everything out. But we're also going to click on the gear so that we can center this image in the column. We'll go to Design. We'll go to Alignment. And we'll click Center. We'll hit the green checkbox. And we'll hit Save Draft. We'll come back to our example. And we'll hit Reload. And now we have a reload. And now we have equal spacing on either side. Everything looks really good. All right, now we're ready to publish. So we'll come back to our example. We'll hit Publish. And now our page will be live. If we want to add another row below this existing content, we'll come and click on the green plus sign. We'll click on the row. We'll type in text. We'll select the text module. And we'll add some more text. We'll hit the green plus sign. And instead of hitting Save Draft, we're public now, so we need to hit Update. We'll come back to our sample and hit Reload. Now we have new text at the bottom. In a nutshell, that is all there is to Divi as far as the very bare bones basics are concerned. Now there's a couple of things that I want to mention real quick before we leave the basics. And that is, if you hit this Return to Standard Editor up here, it will wipe out everything that you've done and you'll have to start over. And there is a way to start over. And there is a way to start over, or actually undo, if you will. And that is with these revisions. So if I delete everything on accident, or I delete a row, and then I hit Update, and we look at our example, it's gone. If I come over here to Browse on Revisions, I'm going to have a timeline up here, as you can see, of different edits and updates, basically is what it is, with a slider right here. And if I just roll it back one and then hit Restore, you'll see this was removed here. If I hit Restore, it'll restore back to what I had previous to update. And if I accidentally blow out the whole thing, I can go to the revisions and restore backwards. So just know that you don't need to touch that once Divi's up and running. So we'll go ahead and hit Update again. We'll come back over here, look at our example. Now it's back. So that's kind of your undo button. Not everything inside of WordPress has an undo button, but posts and pages do. Now, let's take a look at this website that we have over here. And let's take a look at this homepage and let's see what a real built homepage looks like and how do we edit it. So we'll come back over here. We'll jump over here to pages. We'll jump over to home. And now we have a page that's already built with a bunch of stuff going on in it. So let's break this down. The first thing that I want to do is I want to kind of clean up my work area. If you'll notice, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. There's a whole bunch of stuff down here as well. 90% of this we don't need. So we're going to start by getting rid of these things down here. The first thing I can do is click the little triangle to collapse it. And again, this is basic WordPress stuff here. This doesn't have anything to do with Divi, but having a clean desktop does help us out. So I've collapsed this down to kind of get this stuff out of the way. And now I have a bunch of bars, but I can go one step further and I can come up to the top and go to screen options. And then I can just turn off the stuff that I don't need. Revisions is probably helpful if we need to undo. It's the same as the revisions that's over here. We don't need the excerpt on pages or custom fields or discussions or comments. No slugs. We'll leave the author. We don't need open graph. And that pretty much is good to go there. So I'm going to close that back up. And now when I look down here, all I have is revisions left. And if I want to see when the last time my edits were, I can look at them from this point here. The other thing that I have is I have the ability to open and close sections and rows. So this is another arrow here. This is our page slider, which is right here up on top. We'll talk about that in a second. So we'll go ahead and minimize that and get that out of the way. Here's the next section right here. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way. And then that leaves us down here to our last section. We'll get that out of the way. Now, the footer down here, we'll talk about this later, but this is global, so you don't have to worry about it right now. And the same with the navigation on top. That's global. That's a different video, but we're just worried about the content for right now. So we have these three sections. We've got three sections over here, and now we're minimized. Our desktop is clean, and we're in a good position to get busy. So let's go ahead and just hit update. That's our save. We want to save our work and everything that we have, and then we're going to start breaking this down. So the first thing that we have is the slider. Now there's a whole nother video on sliders, so I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview of how to add a slider or remove a slider. So we'll go ahead and expand our slider. We'll go ahead and click on the gear. Now we have two slides, one and two right now. If we want a third slide, we can just click on the copy button. It'll make a copy. And then we can click on the gear. Now slides are in backgrounds. So we'll click the background. We'll click the image tab. That's the one that we just copied. We'll click on it. And now we'll drag another one on here and drop it in. So we'll just move this out of the way so we can see our desktop. We have a slide right here. We'll just bring it over, drag and drop it. It'll automatically upload it. We'll hit upload the image. Go ahead and move this back. So it uploaded the new slide. We'll go ahead and hit the checkbox, and update. We come back over to our example and we hit reload. We're now going to see 3 slides. And there's our third one. Now we'll come to the next section. This is where this gray section here is. Now we're going to call this the opening, so we can actually name this. Instead of section, we can highlight that and call it opening. So that way, when it is closed, we can see what it is instead of just saying section. So we'll reopen this up, and now we have our 3 columns. So we have 1, 2, and 3. We have text, image, text, and a button. We have text, image, text, and a button. So everything's lined out. So if we want to edit this text over here, we click on the gear icon, and we have the ability to edit on that. If we want to rearrange the text, it's as simple as dragging from one to the other and then hitting update. And it will rearrange these text blocks. So now they've been rearranged. If we want to put it back, we just drag and drop it. Drag and drop it. If we want to change the image, we click on the gear. We click on the image. We select a different image. We hit upload, check, and update. And then we hit reload on our sample. So now the text has been put back and it's all right there again. If we want to edit the button, we click on the gear. We change what the button says. We click on the link and we give it a new link. Since this link leaves the website, instead of opening in the same window, we want to open in a new tab. This will keep people on your website and having a new tab open at the same time. So we'll click OK. We'll click update. We'll come and reload our example. And now it'll say order now. We'll click on it. It'll open a new tab and take you to where the new tab is. So we'll go ahead and close that. We'll go back here. We'll minimize and we'll expand. Now from here, we have the same concept where we have text, text on the side, an image, and more text. Again, if we want to change the image, we click on the image, we click the image, we change the image, we hit upload, we hit the green check, and we hit update. And then we reload our sample. So now that we have a good familiar understanding of what's going on inside of Divi, let's actually come over here and let's build a brand new section underneath this existing section. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to call this one, just to give it a name, we'll call it middle content. Keep it open. We're going to come down and click the blue section. And instead of a regular section, which is blue, we're going to make this one a specialty section. Specialty sections allow us to manipulate the columns in a little bit different manner, but other than that, everything else is the same. So we're going to go ahead and select this first one. And again, the selection has been added. Now it's going to ask us for a row. We'll go ahead and add in a row. Now it's going to ask us for a module. We'll go ahead and add in a text module. And we'll hit text. Now we're going to add in some copy. So we add in one paragraph. We're going to go ahead and title this. I'm going to highlight this and remove any formatting. and then we're going to set it to a heading 3. And we're going to say, okay. Now let's go ahead and add in another module. We'll give it a heading as well. And let's take a look and see what we have. So we'll hit update. We'll come over here, right click, hit reload. Okay, so now we've got our 2 sections over here. So let's go ahead and add some copy over here. And that's going to fill this place here. So this side over here with specialty sections doesn't get a row because the content fills the whole column. So no matter how many rows we put over here, or columns of rows, which we're going to show you in a minute, this will always be one column over here. So we'll go ahead and click on the plus sign for modules and select text. We'll come over here and grab our text, and we'll hit the check, and we'll hit update. We'll come over here, we'll hit reload, and look at what we have. See how that fills that whole column? That's pretty cool the way it does that. So now we're a little bit unbalanced, so let's add an image to this side. So we'll come back over to our editor. We'll click the module. We'll click image. Select. We'll click add an image. We'll come over here from our desktop. We'll go ahead and drag and drop a new image in here. We'll click upload. There's our new image. We'll hit the checkbox. Now it's at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and drag it into the middle. And let's hit update. And hit reload. So now we have our image. Image is kind of big and overpowering, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and format this image a little bit. So we'll come back down here. We'll hit our gear. We're going to go to the design tab up here. We're going to look at sizing. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. We're going to make it 80%. So I'm going to type in 80%. And make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to make sure it's aligned in the center. I'm going to come down here and click on borders. And I'm going to round the corners. So maybe 20 pixels or so. Let's try 25 pixels. It'll automatically fill it in for you. We don't need that. We don't need a color border. I think that'll do just fine. And then down here at the bottom, let's add in a subtle animation. Let's just let it fade in. So we'll say OK. And then we'll hit update. We'll come back here and hit reload. And now as you saw, it had a slow fade in. It's a little bit smaller. It's not like all in your face like it was before. And that's starting to look really good. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and link down here to a story, but I also want to link to an off-site product on Amazon. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to come to our page. This is where the specialty section comes in. We're going to click a new row. We're going to pick 2 columns. and this is just 2 columns within inside this column. We're going to use buttons. So the first one is going to be read now. And we're going to need a link. So let's go get a link to a story. So we're going to go ahead and hit the checkbox. I'm going to right click on posts and hit open in a new tab. I have an existing post here, so we'll take a click on it. We're going to go to the permalink. We're going to right click and we're going to hit copy link. We're going to come back to our button. We're going to hit the gear icon. We're going to click on link. And we're going to paste our link right there. Now this link is on our website, so we'll leave open in the same window. Hit the checkbox. Now we'll come back here and click on the module. We'll click on the button. And we'll call this one Order Now. We'll grab a link, click the link, paste in the new link. This is to Amazon. And because we're leaving this site now, we want to say open in a new tab and say OK. We'll come back up here and hit update. We'll come over to our example, right click and hit reload. Okay, now we have two buttons now, a read now and an order now. They're not real lined up very well, so let's line them up real quick. We'll come back over to our editor. We'll come to our buttons. We'll click the gear. We'll click on design, alignment, center. Say OK. Gear, design, alignment, and center, and say OK. And then hit update. Come over here and hit reload. Everything looks pretty good, but you know what? This is still a little off balance. So let's come back our paragraph up here and let's add a little bit into our paragraph. So let's come back in here and add a little bit more content here. And the reason that I'm showing this is because it is important to have things balanced. If you don't have things balanced, it makes it very difficult for people to read. And they kind of feel, I guess the word's wonky, just like we had earlier. So we'll go ahead and reload this. So now we've added 2 paragraphs up there. And now things are all balanced out. Now, there is a little bit that's kind of off for me. And I'm a big proponent of separation. So we have our middle content here, and then we have our new content down here, but it's all white and it looks the same. We could put a break in here like a line or something, but I like highlights. I like highlighting the backgrounds with different colors. So let's take a look at that. We'll come back over here. Let's go ahead and minimize our middle content, get it out of the way. Now we're on this section. We are going to click the gear, background, color. We're going to add a gray. Now we have the gray is in this column here. This column here is transparency. So I'm going to drag that down. You can see up there in the top left that it's changing. I'm going to bring it all the way down to about 2.2%. We're going to go ahead and hit check, update. And basically what it's going to do, it's just going to lighten up the color. Now hit reload. And now we have the background color and it's separated from everything else. So we have a lighter color up here, we have a semi-dark color, and then we have our footer. So that's how you can add more content And that also covers what specialty sections look like. So the Divi library is place where items that we have built can be placed. So let's take a look at what's in there. Here's a list of items that are pre-built. How do we get an item into the Divi library? Well, I have another video that talks about that, but in short, if I wanted to take this whole section right here and save it so I can reuse it in other pages, I can click on the three dots and I can click Save to Library. And when I save to Library, it shows up over here. Just like we have this item called Ninja Honor. And this particular one is a global item. So the difference between a regular section, like you see here, and a global section is if I edit this regular section here, it will only change here. If I edit a global item, it will change everywhere that it's posted on the website. And a good example of that is the honor. So we'll go ahead and click on the plus sign. Instead of regular, instead of specialty, from the new section, we're going to jump over to add from library. And it's going to open up and give us all the items that are available to add. Here's Ninja Honor. We'll click on Ninja Honor. We'll use this section. This is a global section. That's why it is green. And it works just like everything else. Go ahead and get this out of the way. It has a section, a row, and text. We'll go ahead and hit update and take a look at what it looks like. Come over here and hit reload on our example. And now we have Ninja Honor down here at the bottom. So now we have our slider, our highlights, our basic content, our more content, and our more highlighted text. Now I can move that up or I can move it down. I can leave it right where it's at. If I want to put it right here in the middle, I can come here. We'll go ahead and collapse it out of the way. And I can just drag and drop it right in the middle and hit update. And it'll put it right between the two. So now it's right between the two. Now, if I want only this to be on this page, I don't want it to be global, I can come over here and I can say disable global. So now I disabled the global and it looks just like everything else. And if I edit this particular text here, it will only update here. But let's take a look at how that would work if it was on multiple pages. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Let's re-add it by coming down here and clicking the plus sign. Add from library. Ninja Honor. Use this section. We'll get this out of our way. And now here is our global section. We'll go ahead and hit update. Then we'll come over to pages. We'll become a ninja. And we will add it here. We'll click the plus sign. Add from library. Ninja Honor. Use this section. And we'll hit update. So if I come over and we look at Become a Ninja, we'll right click and open it in a new tab. So we have both. We have this section here and this section here. Because it's global, if I come and make a change by clicking on the gear, and add in my new changes, we'll go ahead and highlight this to make it stand out a little bit by bolding it. Click the checkbox, click update, come back over here, and if I hit reload, so this is the home page, and now it's in the home page. Now if I come over here and hit reload on Become a Ninja, it's updated here. So you can see that how that could have a lot of potential of saving time. If you've got something that needs to be on multiple pages, the best way to do is to create it and put it into the library. So how do we create something and put it into the library? So let's take this section here, how to be a ninja, and let's add this to the library. So we'll go ahead and click check out of here. We'll go ahead and hit the 3 dots. We'll say save to library. We'll call this, if we want to make it global, we would just click make it global, but we're just going to leave it regular and hit save to library. So we're done here. So we'll go ahead and hit update. We'll come over to the Divi tab. We'll click Divi library. And now Become a Ninja is in the Divi library. That's all we're going to do for today. We'll talk about other ways to edit in another video.